I'll bring on our first guest here.
Hello, hello. Can you hear me still good?
I can hear you just fine.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you, good sir, for having me on here. My name is Nakaraya, for those of you who may have trouble pronouncing it. Um, and I'm very glad to be on here. I think this is a good opportunity to present the Israelite cause with tact and sophistication and galvanize our cause with integrity. Commonly, you will see us on the street corners and hear us speak, and you might think of us with a certain level of repugnance, which is reasonable. And I just want to be thankful for this opportunity to perhaps go against that consensus. So,
Nakaraya, I must warn you, and everyone knows that I give the same disclaimer at the start of these discussions, which is that you may be interrupted at various points, sometimes to move the show along, sometimes to clarify and ask questions, other times to get you to elaborate. So it'll be done with respect, but do know that it is coming.
indeed.
So please do proceed, if you will.
Absolutely. Thank you for that disclaimer. Okay, so with regard to your former question on the other stream, which is what was our cause, I'll answer this in two sections, as our cause is primarily...
Before you do that, would you be kind enough to elaborate on who the we is? Like, who do you represent? Only in as much as there are various groups and splinters and sects
Indeed, yes.
that go under the same name?
Yes, so I don't actually have a camp. I would,
Okay.
I am a, how would you say,
You're a
a
freelancer out here, huh?
genuine, I am a genuine Israelite in that I keep the law, statutes, and commandments and follow the biblical anthology to the best of my ability, which does not require any man governance. Now, I understand the practicality of camps, and I appreciate the good work that they do. And I actually have a lecture on that on my channel where I go into the depths of that. But yes, did that answer your question sufficiently?
I'll repeat what I understand, which is to say that you're not a part of an organized grouping of men who would call themselves Hebrew Israelites or who wear the same outfits, but rather you're someone who identifies as a Hebrew based on your reading of the Bible and or the Torah and or the Bible.
Indeed, yes. Okay.
Okay.
So, proceeding along with your question on what is the Israelite cause, I'll break this up into two subdivisions. This one is spiritual, as that.
Well, that wasn't my question, so you'll have to just say that that's what you're speaking on, because I've not asked that question.
Your question was, like, what do we do now, right? Like, assuming that our cause...
In the previous live session, I was talking to individuals, and after they laid out their beliefs, I said, okay, now what? Which is to say, you have your beliefs, we have a common understanding, now what in 2025? So is that what you're saying? You're addressing that piece there?
Yes. Would you rather me address something else?
No, you can address that. I just want everyone to not feel like they missed part of this stream because you're referencing things that they're not familiar with.
Okay, understood.
Yes.
Understood. Yeah, so I would elucidate this with this analogy. In the spiritual sense, you could say that we strive to glean the archetypal presence of Noah, and that is to walk with the divine and be that conglomerate of saints, if you will, amongst a degenerate population among the earth. And so that would be us keeping the law, statutes, and commandments of the Most High, which would be us building our ark so we don't drown in the lake of fire, let's say. So that's like the spiritual.
Metaphorically speaking.
Right, correct.
Okay.
And so in regards to what now, I think there's a scripture.
Do you mind if we dive in just to touch on who is the we? So I have a sense of how you're identifying yourself as an individual, but who else is included in the we?
Yes, now this is where the Israelite population might be in disagreement with me, but I understand that salvation is to the Jew first, let's say. And so when I say we, I would say us as a nation, as we are the pinnacle of the hierarchical structure as far as nations are concerned. Now, do I think, and this was something that was touched on in the previous live stream for those listening, do I think that the Most High in totality is a tribal God or deity? I do not think so. He does establish that we are a nation of priests, which would establish us at the hierarchy of, how would you say, in a spiritual sense, to guide other nations. That is not to exclude them in any way. That is to say
When you
that we
say
are
we,
at
though,
the
like
height of the order.
the we that includes you,
Hmm.
who are those persons? How do you define those persons?
I would say that they are anyone that wants to follow along with the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, primarily Israelites, and those who are of the other nations who want to follow after
So,
Israel.
so who are Israelites?
I would say that they are the Negro that is scattered throughout the four quarters of the earth.
Okay. Now, people watching, I know you all may have a TikTok attention span, but do forgive me because clarity is important, especially when we're dealing in words that have been redefined many times. So you are referencing the Israelites to be the, would I be able to say the African diaspora?
To some degree, I have my understanding that within the transatlantic slave trade, there was a collection of Negroes that was scattered throughout the globe, and those, based off of my studies, I would say that those are the only real persons that can be, how would you say, identified within the curses of Deuteronomy.
Okay, so when you say Israelites, you're speaking of those who were victim of the Ma'afa and thereby scattered throughout certain parts of the world.
Yes, you could say so, yes.
Understood. And you're also alleging that those blacks who were victim of the transatlantic enslavement are cursed.
Yes.
Okay, so in your book, you believe that we were cursed.
I believe that we had the option to choose whether we would be blessed or cursed, and that would be my take more on the free will topic. So yes, you could say that we chose the cursing portion due to our disobedience.
And when you say we, you're referring to our recent ancestors.
Yes.
Understood. Okay. All right. Carry on.
Yes, and so in the practical sense of like what we do now, I tend to be in agreement with what the captain said. I know I'm going to butcher his name. I think it's
Tazariak.
Tazaria. Yeah, Tazari. Oh, Tazariak. Okay.
Tazariak
Uh,
is my understanding, yes.
yes, I think that we have an obligation to uphold that spiritual presence that I was speaking of earlier. And, look for, and there's this scripture in Jeremiah, just to paraphrase it, it's like, build houses and settle down, plant gardens and eat what they produce, marry, have sons and daughters, and pray for the peace within the city to which I, the Most High, has carried you into exile. And that just looks like occupying until the come of the Messiah, right? That's like try to, do well for yourself financially speaking.
Oh, you're saying until the Messiah returns.
Yes, and so we would establish morality first, and I think that's my answer into what we do now. So, me as a counselor, and my channel is primarily focused on trying to establish correct thought and within people in general. I don't like to focus just primarily on my people because I think that good counsel is helpful for the entire planet. So, have a good moral compass about you, be professional, be sophisticated, and articulate your point clearly and seek clarity. And in that fashion, it's easier to build unity. And I think
Got
that's
it.
what's really
Okay.
important.
Do you have any other points you want to share with us?
Oh, let's see. As far as Mr. Cooley was concerned, I don't believe that the Most High is racist. I'll be very brief on this point. When we say that Israel is the chosen people of the Most High, we have to understand that the word chosen simply means selected for a purpose or specific task. And so Israel just so happens to be that nation because of our ancestors.
So are you suggesting that Israelites are not favored by God above other nations?
No, they absolutely are, but it's not for the sake of them being the blacks, let's say. You see, when we
Well, the definition of them being Israelites is based on their blood. So
indeed. But this is in relation to the deeds of which they did. And I'll say it this way. Say we believe
but
that
you cannot be an Israelite unless you have that blood.
Indeed, yes. The point
Yeah, so
that
then
I'm
it would be a
making,
racial grouping that it is a racial grouping put above other racial groupings then.
yes, I understand that point. The thing that I'm saying though is it's not simply because of the blood itself. Israel the presence of Israel could have been any other nation, right? Because it is a selection of people to be a priestly nation. Yes. That is not to say that the Most High only has a racial bias towards a race simply because that is a race. No, it is simply because this race he made a covenant with, a priestly covenant with, and in that process, we are to, how would you say, we are to lead the sheep, which would be the other nations.
Were you raised religious at all?
That's a good question. I was raised Baptist, but I never took any real, I never took any real heavy stock into that belief system in regards to actually, like, how would you say, having that be the predication of my existence. It was simply just a cultural Christian, you could have called me and been correct.
Okay. Any other major points you want to share?
Let's see. This is one question that I have for the free will argument. I personally believe that we do have free will, and maybe this is something that you can elucidate for me. But the problem that I have or see when it comes to saying that we don't have free will based off of the biblical anthology is that would mean that the Most High is making us sin, would it not? Because we are not doing everything on our own accord, but of God's. And so if the Most High is making us do everything, that would mean that the Most High is making us sin. But the Most High says that he does not tempt us to sin. And that's just an issue. And I don't have any real, wanting or desire, to debate on this matter. It's just I simply have questions in understanding what the root of the argument is.
Okay. What else you got?
And lastly, and I won't go into these scriptures because I do plan to be concise and courteous of all of your time, but there are certain scriptures that I do have in proving against Cooley's point that there is going to be a hierarchical structure in the kingdom to come. And that is going to be pretty much it. And of course, if you had any questions for me.
No, I have no questions for you. Let's see if anyone sent in any questions for you. And I appreciate you representing your position. May I acknowledge Dominic comes in by PayPal. He writes, "Don't get mad at me, but I really do enjoy the process of product development." That's a good thing. I have 3 samples of black velvet, black MDB label hat. Can I send the extra? Yeah, sure. Send it over. That actually sounds quite interesting. I think that color combination will sell well. James sent in an extraordinarily long email, which I encourage people never to do. In fact, I teach directly against this, but let's see what it says real quick. May have some religious notes on it. He writes, "I believe the truth is that blacks and human beings in general have a fundamental understanding of who/what we are." That's wrong. As many guests have said, there is an identity crisis. He just contradicted himself, but not in the way they are stating: Israelite, Christian, Jew. He forgot atheist, Muslim. Yeah, that's fine. All of these things at the end of the day are simply thought forms, mental concepts, but they miss the mark or fail to reach a goal, which is the original definition of sin. Because we tie ourselves to these concepts, unknowingly we have created an ego identity. The human ego is obsessed with form, whether it be thought form or emotional form. Who we are at our core is conscious awareness. Okay, this is a bit too metaphysical. I'm not going through the rest of this. I appreciate you sending that in. May I acknowledge Philip writes, "Peace of the saints." Appreciate you. And being that I did not go through the whole of that, I have no problem refunding what you sent in. That's just frankly just too metaphysical. I don't think it's of good use. But thank you for sending that in. I do appreciate that. And shout out to James. May I also acknowledge Chung supporting the work and the Saints. I appreciate you. And shout out to those who will be along for the ride. Mr. Royce writes, "You have to talk to Ron Dalton, Hebrews to Negroes 1, 2, and 3. I have to? Like, do I? Like, I've never heard of Ron Dalton in my entire life. I have no interest. He has no alignment to any of my goals, or else I would have already known who he is and probably already met him. Hebrews to Negroes doesn't sound very interesting at all. These are the occupations of people who are idlers and don't believe in themselves. So often people stick to religion. These are mostly people. You can't find me any black Hebrew who was a millionaire before he became a black Hebrew Israelite and said, hey, I was highly successful. I was a black millionaire. And then I decided to become a black Hebrew Israelite. It doesn't work like that because they're seeking meaning, identity, and importance through the religion. And this is very common. I see this with racists all the time. As an individual, they're nobody, but identifying as a part of the Aryan super race, then there's someone. Anyways, that is all the folks who have sent in so far. I appreciate you coming on and sharing your perspective. And it's been a pleasure to make your acquaintance.
It's been a pleasure making your acquaintance as well. Thank you again for the opportunity.
Oh, it's really my pleasure.
Yeah, the pleasure is all mine, really. I hope that we will talk again.
I trust we will. Until next time. Peace to the saints.
Yes. Oh, for all the audience, I love saying this. Hope that you all stay safe, stay dangerous, and be wise. Shalom and peace to the saints.
Peace to the saints. Nice young man. Presented himself well. Looks good. Clean and neat.